now we turn our attention to Russia. Two main stock exchanges are set to merge. MySex and RTS have signed a letter of intent, according to the deputy chairman of Russia's central bank. The country is trying to improve its financial markets and turn Moscow into a leading financial centre. Joining us now from the Russian Forum in Moscow is Louisa. Lou.
Yeah, thank you, Ross. That's definitely been one of the main talking points this morning for us and our guests about what will change after we see these two indexes merging, and when will it happen by? What's the time frame in order to get more regulation into the system? One of the nice things about being here is, of course, all the really interesting people that you get to talk to. Marc Faber is joining me now. He is, of course, the editor and the publisher of the Gloom, Boom and Doom report as well. Before we talk about specifics, where are we in terms of gloom, boom, or doom?
Well, I mean, we're all doomed in the long run, but we are in the midst of some kind of a crack-up boom where the emerging world is growing rapidly, although we have high inflationary pressures, and at the same time we have the advanced economies of the West bottoming out and recovering. So maybe for the next 6 months the global economy looks okay. It doesn't mean that markets will go up, but we have to realize that it's an artificial recovery driven by ultra-expansionary monetary policies and also ultra-expansionary fiscal policies. In other words, the deficits of governments are huge, and that will lead down the road to renewed problems.
When I look at the BRICS, yes, why would I want to put money in Russia if I have an alternative such as a China steam engine or in India, despite the fact that these markets actually are lower since the beginning of the year?
We're talking about two different systems. Russia is enormously rich in resources with a small population. And China, India, and by the way, also Egypt and Pakistan, they have very large populations. So when in these countries with a very large population and low per capita incomes, food prices and energy prices go up, the population becomes restless. Because you understand, if you have a per capita income of $50,000 like say in the US, and food prices go up because food may just be 5 or 10% of total consumer expenditures, it doesn't hit the people much. But if you have a per capita income of just $1,000, then about half of that is for food annually.
Which is precisely what's happening in the Middle East.
Go up, you have a problem. Now, you may not have the problem in Saudi Arabia and in the Emirates, in Kuwait, Qatar, because there the governments can heavily subsidize food if they want to.
Yeah.
But in large, I'm particularly worried that what has happened in Egypt will happen in Pakistan.
If that were to be the case, if we see it continue, and for quite some, that will be the case, you say, what will the impact be on these emerging markets? I mean, will money flow into Russia, for example, because we're not in the Middle East and Russia, or will money come out because it is BRICS and EMEA?
I think Egypt is a reminder to people that politics and social events and geopolitics have a meaningful impact on asset markets. And we had a huge run between 2003 and recently in emerging economy stock markets compared to the developed markets. So they have way outperformed, and sentiment was extremely bullish, and money flowed into emerging economies and so forth and so on. And now I think that it may be a wake-up call where the US outperforms emerging economies for a while. Doesn't mean that the US goes up, it just may go down less than the others.
Are you concerned about rampant inflation? And I use the word rampant because we're dealing with high levels of inflation in many places and dealing relatively well for the time being with it. I mean, in Russia now, 6 to 7%?
I'm not sure about that, because I have a very large subscription base, and I ask my readers, whoever thinks that his cost of living is going up by less than 5% per annum to please send me an email. I didn't get a single email. And I guarantee you also for your family and for every family in the US, the annual cost of living increases are more than 5% today. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics is continuously lying about the inflation rate, including Mr. Bernanke. He's a liar. Inflation is much higher than what they publish.
How high do you think inflation is in reality?
Well, I think that inflation depends on the household. You have children, or how much health care do you need, and so forth and so on. But I would imagine for most households it's between 5 and 8% per annum in the United States, and in other countries, maybe Western Europe countries, a little bit lower, but also around 4 to 5% per annum.
Marc, lovely catching up with you here live out of Moscow. Marc Faber, publisher and editor of the Gloom, Boom and Doom report. Ross, you heard it here first. Bernanke is a liar.
Yes,
back
that's
to
for sure.
Yeah,
back
good
to you,
stuff.
Ross.
Louisa, nice to see you. It's always nice to get Marc on as well as far as the programme is concerned.